Well, hey there, folks. I'm meteorologist Matt Barentine. Obviously, we are going to be keeping an eye on the tropics here, as we have been watching this area for a number of days down in the Caribbean. I know it's in a similar spot to where, we originally were keeping an eye out for Helene, and then there was a lot of stuff posted onto Facebook and social media in the last several days saying this was going to be Helene 2.0. No, it's not going to be Helene 2.0. Their models, when they, people, what happen is anybody can go to one of the websites and pull the long-range models, a 10-day out model, throw it up there, say, hey, look, there's going to be a landfall here or there. Those models 10 days out are very problematic. We call them meteorologists, we call them guidance because they can offer guidance, but you can't take them for gospel, especially that far out. And so a lot of misleading stuff on social media in the last several days or so on this. What we're looking at here is what's likely just to become a big sloppy mess out there across the Gulf of Mexico. And you'll see that here. This is the GFS or the American model. This is the main one that people were posting 10 days out. You got to be super careful with that because it shows all kinds of wacky stuff when you go 10 days out. But here in just a few days out, what we're seeing is a disorganized mess. I mean, there's a lot of rain, don't get me wrong. But it's having a real hard time getting its act together because there's, the conditions in the upper levels aren't terrific. Now there's plenty of warm water out there, so that will lead to generating rain, and there's going to be a lot of that. And you can see over in Florida, particularly the peninsula of Florida, they're going to be seeing a lot of rain. Now we may get some of that in our coastal areas. I'll talk to you about that in a second. There's going to be a front dropping down towards next couple of days as well. That'll kind of add into all this, and that'll help us with some rain in coastal areas. But you can see, looking at the futurecast there, this is the European model, so it's a different model, but look, it shows the same thing. That's stopping it on New Monday. What does it show? A big sloppy mess out there in the Gulf, but nothing that's really kind of tightening up and becoming a full-blown tropical system. But there's a lot of rain, so don't get me wrong, there's going to be rain. And you look over there towards Florida, the peninsula of Florida, they're going to be getting a lot of rain out of this one way or the other. Whatever exactly happens out there, they're going to be getting rain. But neither of the main models, and none of them are showing any significant development here over the next several days. So it's going to be kind of a broad, rainy, wet mess across the Gulf. And this shows it really well here in the rainfall forecast. Ton of rain out over the open Gulf, and then you can see a pretty good bit of rain over the peninsula of Florida. Meanwhile, in our area, you can see that, there'll be some rain in coastal spots right along our beaches next couple of days. So what's going to happen is that front's going to drop down. It's going to grab some of that moisture from the Gulf, and we're going to see rain at our beaches. But for the rest of us, north of I-10, probably less than an inch altogether over the next 7 days. That's not very much rain for us, less than an inch. So it's not a big deal for most of us. Once again, it could be a little sloppy at the beaches from time to time. But for the most part, once again, we're not seeing any major issues. So here's the key thing. It's struggling to develop. We're seeing that. Moves, whatever it is, will move into the Gulf this weekend. It looks like it'll be messy, disorganized. One way or the other, regardless, it'll be a big-time rainmaker, mainly for Florida. Okay, mainly for Florida. And mainly for the Florida Peninsula, not for the Panhandle. All right, so right now, your Wednesday is beautiful. It's hot, but it's nice. Temperatures should get up to around 90 in the afternoon. So it's a hot day, but it's early October. It's not early September. It's not August. It's not July. So our humidity is not that bad. So we don't have a heat index on top of that, which is, good. This evening looks great. I mean, my kids both have practices, soccer and baseball tonight. And they'll be fine. It'll just be mild out there. So make sure if your kiddos are doing that, they have their water or their Gatorade to drink, and they'll be just fine here for this evening. Ripco risk is low. Boy, we've had some beautiful weather on the beaches last couple of days. And I've always said we could have some of our best beach days in early October because it's just not as blasted hot. Water temperatures are still plenty warm for swimming. And when you have a good calm day like today, it's beautiful at our beaches. We're seeing that today. Tomorrow, obviously, I think tomorrow will be good for at least most of the day. But by the afternoon, we'll be having clouds build in and some rain moving in as well. But if you're headed to the beach on Thursday, go early. You should be okay for the first several hours of the day. Later in the day, you may have to pack it up. Friday, it's likely to be rainy. And the weekend, The rip current risk goes up to high because of that big sloppy mess happening out over the Gulf. So that's not going to be great for the beach weather over the weekend. Here's your long range forecast. Let me get this up full screen so you can see it well. So we're going with scattered showers tomorrow, mainly in the afternoon and evening. Most of the day should be good. Then Friday, rain is likely. Once again, there's a front dropping down. It'll grab some of that moisture from the Gulf, and we'll see some rain on Friday. But I think it'll wrap up before we get to Friday night lights. At least that's what the models are showing. So we should be okay for football Friday night. Saturday and Sunday, we'll still have some rain around. I think better chances if you're closer to the water down in coastal areas. So if you're by the beach, Saturday and Sunday, you have a better chance of seeing rain. You're inland, not going to see a whole lot of rain. Temperatures will be in the mid-80s, which is normal for this time of year. So we're not really seeing a big fall blast just yet. I think by the middle of next week, we're going to have some cooler air move in. So we may finally see some real fall conditions. You can see by Tuesday, it'll be sunny and highs will be in the lower 80s. So that's an improvement. So we'll keep an eye on things for you. But once again, not seeing anything of overly concern out there in the tropics. We will have to watch that disorganized, messy, wet system in the Gulf this weekend. I'm not terribly concerned. It's just something we'll track and keep an eye on. Thank you so much for joining us here on Fox 10.